Welcome everybody. I'll make a small frame of this meeting and telling you which is the structure that we are used to apply, the rule of the game. So we are here because of the Chain Reaction Project. That is a project that has been funded by the Ministry of Culture with a boarding pass call that was intended to reinforce internationalization of entities, artists in Italy. We have been putting together 6 festivals and we were supposed to visit international festival and to network and to connect one each other, knowing that the festival can have a crucial role in the cultural sector and can be the one that can improve and reinforce or activate process. Then we had the pandemic, and then we decided not to lose this time and to have some conversation to understand what was happening in the other countries to better face all the problems and the changement that we are sensed to face and we are now living. I will just name my colleagues and festival partner, or if we can unmute ourselves quickly and just have a round of table, even if they are not all present today. So I will just to tell you the biodiversity that we have and we have put it together. I am Cristina Cazzola from Segni New Generation Festival, Mantova, month of November. Then we have the south of Italy with the...
Hello everybody, Tonio Denitto from Factory Compagnia Transadriatica, Festival Kids. It's on December during Christmas holidays.
And we have also the other co-director, a lady.
Yes, hello everybody. I'm Raffaella Romano from Lecce, and with Tonio we're working at the Kids Festival.
Then we have in February in Bologna, another wonderful
La Baracca Testoni Ragazzi in Bologna, Festival Visioni, that from next year will move. So it will not be anymore in February, but who will leave, we'll see.
First changement in the new normal that we will live.
Yes.
So,
but just for 21, temporary change.
Okay. So we already had an information. Then we have in March Teatro Fra le Generazioni in Tuscany from Castelfiorentino. Vania is not with us today because she was schizophrenically busy, but she tells you bye. Then we have, where are you, Lorenzo?
Eccomi. Hi everybody, Lorenzo Palmieri, Festival I Teatri del Mondo, Porto Sant'Elpidio, and this year will be the 31 edition from 12 to 18 of July, this July. So we are almost ready.
Yes, this is a good news, a festival that is still going on, and we will try to have international guests. So all the international guests, feel free to be invited for the Chain Reaction meeting in person in Porto Sant'Elpidio, yes, in Marche. That is a wonderful place. Then this makes energy and joy and hope. Then we have, where are you? Maria Giulia.
Hello, I'm Maria Giulia Campioli from Teatro al Quadrato Company, and our festival is Trallallero, which takes place in October, the first half of October, in near Udine, so in the northern part of Italy, not far from Venice. Hello.
Thank you. And then, last but not least, this has been created within Assitej Italia, and today we have with us our president, Linda Airoli.
Hello everybody. It's the first time for me in Chain Reaction because I was very busy the last time, I'm sorry, but I'm very excited today to be with you. So let's go.
Yes, thank you Linda for being with us.
Yes.
Okay, so we will go in the topic. until now, we have been inviting director of festivals, asking each different country which was the situation and how they were facing, even during the lockdown, all the problems or challenges in their country. From today, we have a format that is slightly different, because we are trying to move from the changement zone to the alliance zone. That means we try to be together today to understand which kind of alliance we can create, and with which sectors and with which kind of countries, in the idea that since we are still going back to normal or starting again to do and to work and to face problems in a concrete and not only in a theoretical approach, there may be best practices that we can share and that can help us to better face the situation as a common sector, and not making the same mistakes, but taking the same right path. So today, thanks to the fact that we have a very good relation with the Institut Français et Ambassade de France in Rome, thanks to the fact that we have a super effective contact with Delphine in the Institut Français that was with us in the past meeting and proposed us to have a focus on France. Thanks to the fact that in our discussion, France is always a kind of how can I say, un faro, a light something, okay, light in the darkness, because you have been working a lot on culture, and you have a system that is really more structured than the system, the cultural system in other countries. We invited France today. I will give the floor just a few seconds just to Hélène, that can introduce herself, that is the new attaché culturel de l'Institut Français à Rome, because I think it's important also for all of us to know who's the person that you can go and knock the door and collaborate with. Thanks, Hélène, for being with us today.
Good afternoon to everyone, and thank you so much, Christina, for organizing this meeting, and thanks to everyone to share this moment of exchanging ideas. I really believe that now we are at a moment that to rethink how to start again building new projects and facing the future, and it's something that we really have to imagine all together. So thinking about new alliances, as you suggested, Christina, is probably the best way to build what is expecting us for the next few months. So thanks again, and I believe that sharing the situation in all our countries will help us to understand the present, and will help us to create the following steps. And thinking also about the festival and event for children is probably the most challenging field also, because of course we have all the same concern and for the over event and over festival, but even with a more important way, because every detail has to be think maybe more precisely when we are addressing a young public, young audience. And I would like to introduce and thank also Delphine, who has been working a lot with Christina to build this afternoon meeting. And maybe you can introduce yourself, Delphine.
Yeah, thank you again, Christina, for this meeting. And as Hélène said, we think that like during these all weeks of of the quarantine, and we continue to work, and an important thing of our work was to really try to stay connected with all the partners we have here in Italy, because we saw that we were all needed, we all needed to try to understand the situation, and these exchanges were really relevant. No, and I think it was important, as you said, Christina, we've been working with your festival for many years, and yeah, it was important for us to continue this dialogue and to try to imagine now the future that is coming. So no, thank you again.
Thank you. I want to make to underline the fact that you're thanking me, and thank you, so we can go on thanking each other. But I need to underline that Chain Reaction is a group, so I need to thank Lorenzo, Tonio, Raffaella, Vania, Maria Giulia, Bruno, and Carlotta, and Giovanna Palmieri, that was with us as past president of Assitej Italia in creating this group, because this is the changing point and turning point of this kind of process, because we have been a real group sharing. For me, I mean, I realized that is 2:22 so it means that we spent 22 minutes presenting and introducing each other. But I think that in that case, it's important, because since we are not in presence, I want you to know who's the person behind an email that is Helene and Delphine or Tonio or Raffaella, because we need really to work together and to share those contacts and this experience. Otherwise, we will not overcome this, I'm sure. What the claim I'm using is against the jungle effect. Let's make alliances between us, and this is why we need to spend time on that. But we will start. Now we will have a kind of frontal speech from our two guests, and then we will split in small groups to discuss about one question that we will put on the table. If you feel that you need to go away, or you need to do something else, or you feel that you have nothing to say, you can stay with us, maybe silent, or go away, no worries. Chain reaction is something that you can take whatever you need and spread it everywhere, no worries. We trust it function anyway. So we have two absent that are asking you to forgive them, but it's our guest from Institut Français from Paris and from Onda. This is a schizophrenic time, so they had priorities. They are two persons from institutions, so they have been overcome from other meeting, but they thank you because they tried to be with us. And now we have a person that is from the Ministry of Culture, Floriane. I let you introduce yourself. Thanks for being here today, because it's not that common that we can have a dialogue with a person that is so inside institutions. And this kind of alliance and dialogue, I think, is fundamental, because one of the things that we learned, so that we can start from that also, is that the policy and law and all the activities, emergence activities that have been set at the moment to help our sector, one thing that we understood is that the institution doesn't know very well what we really need and what we really do. So this dialogue is one of the priorities to set alliances. Thank you, Floriane.
Okay, hello everybody. I work in one of the 4 headquarters departments of the French Ministry of Culture, which is the Direction Générale de la Création Artistique. This department is in charge of performing arts and visual arts, and I'm in charge in this department of arts and cultural education, but also all the field of audience engagement, which has a new audience practices, cultural rights, and inclusive participation in art and culture. And in this area, I conduct the policy, the plan, strategic plan, which names Génération Belle Saison. We talk about it after that, and all the policies for artistic creation dedicated to young audience.
Thank you. We invited Floriane, and I asked Floriane to tell us just a little bit about how they are facing the pandemic and all the problems from her point of view, her intended as institution that she's representing, and also with a focus on the activities and the relation, the alliance with the sector of school and all education. That is one of the sector we always have a relation with, and that we need to rewrite the relation with.
So I begin now, or maybe you want to introduce Cyrille, or I don't know.
As you know, normally we give the floor to one person, and then we give the other one. Just if you want, you're right. We can introduce just that you can see it in the squares, in the small postcards. That is here with us. Cyrille, if you want to just to show up and say who you are, so that we can see you, and then we will give you, and then you have the translation for Italians just to feel more confident in the notes, and you can write questions there. If you write in block, it's better for us to see them, and we have time for questions. Cyrille.
Yes, I'm Cyrille. I'm co-director of the French festival Petits et Grands in Nantes, which is a festival we organize every 2 years, not this year, in 21.
So thank you, Floriane.
Okay, so maybe before speak about what we are doing now to face the pandemic and to develop some new activities with school. Maybe for all, I present French. I present the founding principles of French Ministry of Culture very quickly, but to contextualize all the policies. As you know, the primary mission of the ministry is to make the essential masterpieces of mankind accessible to a greatest number of people. So our historical principle is the offer and the access, and it's very it structures the landscape of French cultural policies. Cultural policies in France are also closely connected to the central role of the state, and in this time I can say it's really important. And usually certification, which is a certification given to an artistic project or a specific location, structures the French cultural landscape, and this certification allows organization to receive public grants, and it's also very important in these days when the pandemic closed, you know, all the structure, this link between the state but also local authorities to a public grant is really important. And as you maybe know too, the organizational structure of the ministry is composed by headquarters in Paris, where I worked, but also local offices in every single French region, including overseas region, called Direction Régionale des Affaires Culturelles. And this DRAC, we said DRAC, implementing national cultural policy locally. So they work with local authorities. And in this time, it's also very important to have this local office to deal with the problem of closing of the closed structure and also event. And we can also say that the DGCA where I worked is developing 4 strategic objectives, and in these times we work about long-term evolution and sustainability of performing and visual art sectors. So in this time, it's really important. Audience engagement, I already said it. To analyze and define new policy orientation in performing and visual art, and the long-term sustainable careers of artists from initial education to retirement. And it's also a topic in this day because we have the only system in France called entail.
Une compagnie française qui a laissé son micro allumé, mais pas grave. Bienvenue. Floriane. Anya, maybe you need to...
So is it okay now? Yeah. Okay. So all this context, it's really important to understand now that we work for the French policy for artistic creation dedicated to young audience leads us to work with the educational ministry, but also with health and the solidarity ministry. So it's a very interministerial policies, and it's a complex situation because, of course, each ministry have their strategic objectives and try to make converge these objectives. For example, in this moment, the art and cultural education is with the educational ministry, of course, and they try to imagine new plan for the students which go back to school, but in small groups. So they try to call artists or cultural structure to intervene in school, and we try to work with them to define a really good context for them, because they used to work with people in the field of animation more than artistic artistic way. So we have question about how to pay them, how much to pay them, how skills they have to manage the different groups of children or young people, and it's sometimes very tough discussion because we have different point of view about that. And at this moment, we also try to think about a plan for the summer to implicate cultural structure, but also artists or companies, not festivals, because you know that it's always forbidden to make big events in these days, but to try to make this summer a cultural and artistic summer. And during the last 3 months, we developed some different kind of of grants to support artists, but also structure. We developed also fiscal and work law to support the sector. And but it's not finished. We try to change the frame of the intermittence to allow artists to work in other fields and to work more than they usually do with young audience, for example, but also with social environment, or I don't know, for new form or new of intervention in the public space, for example. So we try to rethink the frame of the intermittence, which, as you know, is a regime and not a status. But so we can rewrite the regime, but with the social partners and with the Ministry of Work. So, and as you know, the Ministry of Work is sometimes very, very far from the cultural ministry objectives. And maybe I can speak about one. I don't know, Christina, if you send the presentation of Génération Belle Saison or not to the partner.
No, I didn't send it to the partner, but some of us know about it, but just you can briefly recap that. And this material you will receive with the report and the notes.
Okay, so back into the ancient world, we can say. Génération Belle Saison is a plan, it's a strategic plan, who comes from an artistic event called the Belle Saison avec l'enfance et la jeunesse. Some of you know very well these events because they participate. It was 18 months of shows of professionals and public meetings, conferences, to promote the vitality of the artistic creation in France, dedicated to young audience. And the Belle Saison was planned by the French Ministry of Culture, but it was an original idea of the professionals of the young audience and led by the association Scène d'Enfance d'ailleurs, Assitej France. And at the end of these events, the ministry decided to publish a strategic plan named Génération Belle Saison. And we try to preserve the state of mind of the Belle Saison, which was built for, but also with the professional, so not from the top, but from the bottom, and developing and increasing local initiatives to make a national policy. And this feature is really, really important because it continues to lead the action of Génération Belle Saison. And in this plan, you will see in the documentation, we have 7 strategic objectives. And one is to support artists, and we try in these days, in this very particular days, to continue this strategic orientation, and we say, okay, all the artists who choose, artists, companies, festivals, who choose to create for young people, we try to help them. So it's not a surprise, we help them through a certification. So that's why I explained the certification in the first place, because it's really a structural thing in France. So in these days, we certificate 20 to 30 structure. The name of the certification is Peine conventionnée d'intérêt national, and there is a special mention. It's art enfance jeunesse, so art, childhood, and in youth. So all these structure now are in few weeks now will be certificated. Yes.
Oddio, French is coming in my brain. Okay. Are these structures new structures that you are giving the certifications and conventionné enfance jeunesse? Are those 20, 30 structures new structures?
No, 10 of them are formal structure, but they don't have the certification, but they worked a long time ago for new guardians, and some of them are new, so they received for the first time this certification, and we have to precise that this certification was existing before, but changed during the law in 2016, the loi création, architecture et patrimoine, and the mention, for example, art enfance jeunesse is a new thing introduced by the law. So it recognizes a very former engagement, but also new engagement. And it's a 1 million investment for the ministry, and it's a new investment from now and for the future years. So it's a pluri-annual investment, and it's a really new investment for the ministry. Before that, this structure receives public subsidy, but from the DRAC, but on the usual budget, if we can say that. And now it's new subsidy. And also we try to, it's another strategic objective, we try to build and develop skills for artists, for people who work in public relations, or for social or early childhood workers, people who work for early childhood. And in May, or April, I don't know, in May, we published with the Ministry of Health and Solidarity a plan to develop continuing education, including artistic awakening for early childhood workers. So it's a skill not only for cultural professionals, but also for other professionals who works with children and young people.
That means artists included.
Artists included, yeah. But this plan with the Ministry of Health and Solidarity is only for the continuing education of social and early childhood workers. But we try for artists to put these skills in the curriculum, in their formation, their education in our school, our university. But it's not down for the moment. It's just the beginning. And one other of the strategic objectives is to, as I said, to act as close as possible to the local level. And so we're supporting a platform for artistic creation towards the young audience in each region in France. It could be a production platform, but it could also be a platform where cultural and educational professionals meet and try to, I don't know, to coordinate their activities in a region, for example. And each year we have we have grants for these platforms. It's 240k euros for the platform each year, and it's very important also in this day, because they can work with the local authorities and make new proposals in these days, where we try to find a new way to develop activities and new form of shows, for example. We have also new other objectives, but I focus just on this three because they are really important at this moment.
Okay. Floriane, do you have a lot of other objectives that you want to share? Because I feel like we are kind of looking at that paradise of proposal and structured relation. So I'm like, wow, paradise is fantastic.
No, the other one objectives are really included in the very largest objectives in cultural policy, which are reinforce the art experience for young audience. So one of the three pillars of our art and cultural education. So they are included in more enlarged objectives than I just focus on the very specific objective for a younger audience, and there is also an objective of evaluation of the policy, which is an obligation of every strategic plan, but not really important for our conversation today, our sharing today. So.
Yeah, I feel like about evaluation also we should spend like 3 meetings, because maybe this is another important keywords to investigate in different countries, how institutions make evaluation of the process and the project. But since it's 2:47, and we will have, and Floriane will stay with us until 4 o'clock, so we have time to ask questions. Cyrille, how is living as a director in a so wonderful paradise, knowing that I'm sure you have things to complain, and this paradise for you living in it is not that paradisiac as we can feel it from other countries, from Europe, and I will say the rest of the world, because you are kind of light, as I said before. And I took it not so seriously, but it is of course serious. So you are vice president of Assitej France and Enfance that have provoked this important relation and all those important goals that have been reached, and these strategies that are followed by the institutions and the Ministry of Culture, and you're also director of a festival. What do you want to share with us? Thanks for being.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I wrote my text because I'm not so good in English like Floriane or others. So Petit des Grands has been founded 9 years ago. This festival takes place in March or April every 2 years. We have around 40 different shows, more than 100, and 20 performances from France and abroad in a short time, only 5 days. It is rather rare to have in France a rather big festival in a big town. A significant part of the program is dedicated to the very young children, before 3 years. And we have also a program of professional encounters with around 300 or 400 programmers and artists every 2 years. So now reflection about what's happening in France. We have in France some huge discussions between programmers, directors, and companies about the next season. Nobody knows what will happen in September, and if we could have some cooperation with schools, it's not a big problem, a real problem for Petit des Grands, because for the festival we have only 5% of our shows open for schools. And it's in April next year. We have 1 year ahead. But our colleagues are very worried at this time. They are also inventive and united. Some of them have imagined some possible solutions for next season. The key point is less cancellation and plan this spring. So they imagine to convert the shows who were only for schools in some shows open for children and for the school families. Some mixed shows between a scholar program and a family program. Some of us want to maintain an encounter with children, even if the show in the theater is impossible. Perhaps it will be possible in the schools, perhaps outside or in a big room. The idea is not to imagine new shows which will be compatible with the situation, but to propose a performance in close link with the show and a real artistic requirement. And with these possibilities, they have two goals: to maintain a good link with the children, which is very important at this time, and to maintain the jobs for the artists and possibly technicians. We have a lot of debates about these solutions at this time in Saint-Enfant Assitej France. Another reflection, which is very recent, is about maintaining ties with foreign artists, and especially with the francophone space, but not only. We have had these discussions by Zoom with Tuège. It's like the French-speaking part of Canada, Quebec, and with artists from African countries, with Haiti. It's the situation at this time in France for relationship between theaters and schools, like you told me, Christina.
Yeah. So do you have any best practice collected, or what if we ask you from your point of view, which is one of the most important approach or concrete approach that you are observing in your country just to solve this problem about the relation with school? Which is the thing that you are the mainstream approach? If you know any of that. I realize I know it's not easy.
Yes, it's I don't know if there is a mainstream approach at this time, because for everyone it's too difficult to understand what will happen in September. At this time, theaters are making their program like it will be normal. Mm-hmm. But for schools, they don't have some answers to their questions. It's too early.
Mm. Okay, this is, I mean, this answer is not something strange. It makes a kind of feeling that we are all facing this problem, the relation with school. We feel that we are all in the same point because we don't know what will be possible. Even if I will say it's strange, because there are some information that are telling us that, for example, children are not infecting themselves. And for example, just to put this on the table, and then we will go to the questions, because there are some important and interesting questions. In Denmark, for example, they don't have this problem. The schools are open and they don't care about that. So this is a big difference. Is it connected with how much the institutions are able to support the responsibility, or is, I don't know, because if also, even in France, you don't know how to deal with that. I will take some questions, not to go deep in this complex, I mean, we will not have any answer about that today. There is one concrete question for Floriane, that is, how do you certificate on which requirement and on which kind of project are you giving this certification to choose which are the structure to be supported or not, and which is the annual investment? I'm afraid of this answer.
Okay, just maybe I answer to the question. I can say for the school part that it seems in our relation with the education ministry that the fact that the schools were closed during 2 and 3 months, the first objective, which is to learn the fundamental thing of school, and our ministry is really convinced that French, math, and history are the 3 pillars of this this curriculum of skills. Arts and culture are allowed, but not one of these pillars. Okay. So the very first priority is to come back the students who lose during 3 months, and art and cultural things come after, if I can say that. So the first preoccupation is to reorganize the teaching in September, and not all the activities, accessorized activities, can I say, in a way, for September. Of course, it's not our position, but we heard a lot of things in this way at this moment, and it's one of the reasons I said it was difficult to make our point in our relation with the education ministry. Okay.
Okay. What about, maybe my question was not that clear. What about the criteria that you're using? Yeah.
So now I can answer for the certification. So the certification, there is many kind of certification. All are defined in the law 2016, and each certification have different criteria. So scènes conventionnées, or scènes nationales, or centres dramatiques nationaux, which are all the different certifications. All of them have a cahier des charges, we say. And all the cahier des charges are different, except for 3 strategic orientation, which are responsibilities of civic and so I just take my notes about that because it's really complicated to explain in English. It's I will find it, because I write it because I knew you asked the question and it's really difficult to explain. So there are 12 certifications, so it's not few. And each certified project must and can receive grants from both state and local authorities. And there are common objectives to reach and attract larger audiences, to great arts and culture everywhere, and to artistic and creative innovation, in particular the involvement of persons who haven't taken part before. So there are common objectives for certification, and after that, all certifications are particular. So we decide on the basis of the cahier des charges with the local authorities and the state, because from at least the half of the certification, the state is the state funding are the minority of part of the budget. The local authorities are the main support from this structure. So we decide with them, for example, who leads the structure. We decide with them, they apply for that, but we decide with them to give, and it's a process. It's not something you say yes or not. They work with the local bureau, the DRAC, and we say, okay, for example, a city said, I want this structure becomes Scène Nationale or Scène Conventionnée d'Intérêt National. The DRAC say, okay, the first creatures are okay, but we need to work together to proceed to and conclude to the certification. It could take 3, 4, 5 years before to obtain the certification. It's okay. And then for the budget, they are really different. For example, there exists 74 scènes nationales. Some of them have 10 million budget, but another one can have 3 million budget. It's the same thing for scènes conventionnées or enfance jeunesse. Some of them, it's something like 1 or 2 million budget for years, but another one could be very a bigger structure and have a very high budget. So it's really different, and the percentage of the state subsidy is really different. But in the law, we put I don't know the name, plancher, that we the state can't reduce his subsidy under a certain level defined by the law. For example, les scènes conventionnées d'intérêt national à enfance jeunesse, it's the state have to put 5,000 no, sorry, 50,000 euros at the minimum.
Okay. Thank you for making this effort to speak English. I understand that is not that easy, and also the conversation is not, but there are people who will not understand French. So I know that today is just a little bit more complex, but we will try to go. We have other questions. There is someone asking what is concretely happening in France in September, and if the schools are going to open and with which restrictions. But I think that we had the answer from Cyrille. That means that you still don't know, like in Italy. Am I right? More or less. Floriane?
Yeah, we don't know. The rules for now is it's to reopening some of the place, but with, for example, as the same, I think it's the same in Italy, it's just one seat on one seat and
yes,
then,
and one seat
and one seat and one seat. So it's just impossible to open in this, in this way. But normally in the 22 of June, the new rules will be defined by the government. So we'll see. And the other certain thing is that until August, we can't make events with 5,000 people.
Okay. Okay. Maria Giulia, do you want to make your question? That is, you wrote in the chat, but maybe it's better if you ask it. just making it more simple as we can.
Yes, maybe because Floriane talked about a new platform for coordination, for artistic coordination. And so I was thinking about the role of festivals. Maybe the festival are a good chance to be a venue for coordination. And so how the two things could combine together.
Some of festivals take part of the platforms, regional platform. It's not new. Platforms begin before la belle saison, grow in the belle saison, and now are structured by the Génération Belle Saison. Some of them are new, but the other begins before the belle saison, and some of them are constitute around the festival, for example. But there is really a different patterns for the platform, and I think it's really nice to have this diversity, because some of them are production platforms, but sometimes it's just an informal a formal space of meeting and share. For example, try to festivals or other structures in the same region try to organize their the period of the diffusion of the shows. For example, during the holidays, to say, okay, you begin at in the first part of the holidays, and then I can make my programmation in the day after, so a family can visit the different show and organize their holidays around our different structure, for example. But it could also be a production platform, which is each structure puts some money in a common pot and say, okay, we produce this show. So it's very different. Many festivals are involved in this platform, but not all of them.
Okay. There was one thing that you said that I think it's important to better understand or clarify. You said that those 30 structures that will receive this certification are some new, some that were already doing young audience. So am I right if I say that you used that time to fix and to reschedule or reframe things that were on the way, but just putting more money, but not just giving money, just rescheduling or reframing in a strategic way the money that you are giving?
Yeah. The truth is, the idea was formulated before the pandemic, but the specific is a very special situation shows us that this idea was really efficient, because we need this point of this, I don't know, kind of structure who can lead and be a resource for a territory in this field of artistic creation dedicated to young audience. So we can say that the idea was was not new or conceived during the pandemic, but the pandemic reveals the pertinence of this policy.
Okay, so we have like 10 minutes late, but we will take the chance to split us in group anyway. Today we have a new methodology to structure to split in groups. That is just a little bit more complex. Today we like complexity. We are testing new things. Does any one of you knows how to rename yourself? It's easy. You go on the 3 dots and you rename yourself. Okay. You can choose to rename yourself as pragmatist, dreamer, serendipity approach, serendipity, rational, scientific, or ethic. I will, I will write it in the chat so that you can see them. Svetlana, are you going to have other meetings in the following days? Are you organizing other of your meetings?
Well, I need some more time for the next one because I have a dream, so I have to.
Svetlana is from Croatia.
So a little bit to find all the.
She's a dreamer.
Yeah, no, Christina was my guest a few days ago. I told the people in the group that we're organizing conversations with the artists all over the world, and it's really something that I'm very grateful for. So Christina and Bebe de Soares were my guests. And now she wants to know who are the next ones. Next week I have the final part of drama studio with my children in the studio. So I will need more time to organize this, but I would really like to have guests who don't have so much time, so I have to make good schedule work. But I hope they will be my guests, so I will tell you when I am sure.
I said that because just that you know, we are trying to make a kind of sharing information on our website of the 6 festival partners and also on the Facebook pages. If there is something that we know from friends and colleagues in the world, we will put it on our Facebook. So.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. This is also for you all if you have any information. So let's go for the recap. Who's the speaker that will share the keywords of the pragmatist group?
One. Sorry.
Vai.
No, I'm not the one. I'm not.
Linda Erali, Assitej Italia.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not from the pragmatist because you.
Okay, you were in the wrong one. Okay.
Yes, I was in the wrong one.
From the pragmatist.
We are the pragmatist.
Okay, Bruno,
go ahead. To do it myself or to let Tonio, which was our coordinator inside the group, but I will be very brief.
It's up to you, Bruno. Thank you.
No, I will do it. I will be very fast. The reality is that for the first time we talked in Italian, so we are not prepared in talking in English in this presentation.
But you can do it.
Our only guest was Alain, that after 10 meetings of chain reaction now speaks perfectly Italian. And the point is that the situation is very different in every point of Italy and in every zone of Italy. And everybody is looking for a solution in order to restart the dialogue together with schools in many different plans, many different ways. But one of the words that for sure somehow was very important in this dialogue was pessimism. Not to think about incredible programs or things that are maybe not possible in the future. So being pragmatist in this moment means to be pessimist, but at the same time to create many different plans and approaches in order to try to restart a dialogue with the scholastic institutions. And we all agreed that somehow it can be a basilar connection, the alliance with school for restarting our season next year, not in an artistic point of view, so maybe more at the service of schools, giving the opportunity of extra didactic activities that maybe can support the front speak of each other teacher, let's say. So the frontal lessons, we have to give an opportunity of alternative to this approach and maybe to ask to the school which can be the best support for that. And another thing that I want to point is that really in many different parts of Italy, as always is, the approaches are very different and the ideas are very different and all valid. But this summer, for sure, what we will do during the summer will be the base for restarting next year. So this summer we will test what we can do from September on. And maybe pedagogists can be a key figure for the reconnection between culture and school. So why not to rely on them in order to create a dialogue with the scholastic institutions?
Very well, really pragmatic, thank you. Dreamers.
Here we are. So first is that the Italians in the group decided to move to France. So this is the first dream, to move to France. And second, some keywords are cooperation. That means both in the sense of cooperating between bottom to up, I mean for independent companies and institutions. Mm-hmm. And as well, we are talking about the fact of being more cooperative and exchanging more information among companies, and that is companies among people working in the art fields, and this is exactly what we are doing now. And other words are adolescents, with the fact of contacting them, adolescents in particular, and the community as well, families and children, and to make them protagonists and understand which are their needs. And so the dream of starting from that point. And maybe these are, I don't know if Svetlana or the others can help me. I think this is a little summary of what we have been telling.
Okay. It looks all very well. Rational? Do we have any rational? No? Yes?
Yeah. I can do. As rationals, we have found that the first difficult thing is to fight the intellectual laziness. I mean, to change the point of view, accept to play with new rules. But maybe we found an answer in trying to, as Bruno said, trying to understand what the schools needs, and accepting these new needs, maybe we can find our rule and the tools that we already have that could be more useful for our work and for the community. I think I don't know if I have to add something else. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Serendipity?
With a serendipitous approach, we try to find how we could reinforce some kind of relationships between entities, regional, local entities. And so we try to see how some blossoms are underneath. Some institutions, for example, are trying to find new solutions to old problems. And this is one point that we discussed with a particular example from Lombardy region. Then we had another point, also in this serendipitous approach of just observing. We had some examples of hidden alliances or non-alliances happening in this pandemic period. For example, the non-professional interfering the professional sector, and how this creates, of course, some crashes or some kind of problems in the alliances with schools. And the third point was about pinpointing that an artist is a person that must be in a child's sphere, in a child's entire process of growing. And so we asked ourselves, which were the alliances that we missed so far? And the answer was given by a good example, which could be used for the future. To reinforce the tables around municipalities, which seem now to be the most important actors which could create mediation and alliances connected not only to identities, but also based on the relationship with the same target, so children or students, pupils in this case, but not necessarily on the same activities. And in this case, we try to move forward with the thought of new alliances.
Thank you. And then let's go to the ethical approach.
Yeah, the ethical approach, which was it was discussed in Italian, and then in the last 2 minutes I need to do the English summary, but I'm not gonna let them just escape like that. I will give the Stichwort, the word here, and then maybe you fill with the phrase. So from Giovanna, we had the discussion topic for her in this moment is liberty, libertà.
Freedom.
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 Freedom. Yeah, Giovanna, fill with the phrase. It's a new way of doing report now, Christina. We
yes,
put everybody
it's a cooperative and co-imaginative way of doing the report.
No hierarchy, no hierarchy.
No hierarchy, no hierarchical approach.
Yes, Giovanna?
I tell?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we discussed about which are the alliance between school and the theater has to be based to the value. And which are the common values, and to find the common values between the school and theater.
Okay.
And art. And so Franco said that the values, important values, common values could be to work on the ambiente, for the nature, save the world, and the sustainability. And then about the problems of female and male and
problems,
gender, yeah,
gender, yes, and about works. Then I told that I'm working with this group with teacher, and we have to make a very strong alliance with the teachers, and with the institution on one side, of course, and the institution has to recognize the theater and the school as a service space. It's a space, a public space, where all people and all children can go, and all children can live art and have the rights for the arts.
Yeah, just one more clear. To provide art in schools is a public service. So if you, and also just to add one line, if you want to reach all children, you need to work with the school.
Yeah. This is very important point, ethical point, that the institution has to recognize which is the topic of the school and of the theater, of course. And in this, we have also one values. I said that's very important, that I discussed with the teacher we are working on in this time, and this is the freedom. And what means freedom now in this time? That my freedom is the freedom of the others. I can think to the freedom myself, and just for my freedom. Doesn't exist this, and so you have to share the freedom. And this is a very, very, very important value and topic in which you can put everything, And so it's a relation and distance and behind also. These are very, very, very important, because now we are living a distance and near, but how? And especially in the technology, just freedom value and also distance and to be near, and it's very important because it's very dangerous, And so if you find these values, common values, you become very strong with the school.
together.
Thank you, Giovanna. Our time is past. We have 5 minutes late. Floriane, would you love to say something, even in French, if you want, just to a kind of empathic bye-bye? And Cyrille, also, I hope that that was interesting for you anyway. In any sense, I wanted to say, from any point of view.
No, I just, okay, I continue in English or in Italian, but just thank you for the quality of our discussion today. France is not paradise. I can assure you. Don't cross the border for us, not now. But we are lucky. It's true, but it's not paradise. And don't be free to write me for your project or any question you have left. And I hope we'll meet soon in the real life.
We all hope that. We'll start meeting in real life also.
Yeah.
Even if this is a good chance to see and to meet people that are far away. We have
and to improve my English.
Oh, also. There is a didactic second goal.
Grazie a tutti gli italiani che sono qui, perché per me l'italiano sarebbe più facile, però posso farlo anche i ringraziamenti in italiano.
Oh,
Grazie a tutti.
bello. Grazie.